What's going on, family? It's your boy Steve Holmes. You're watching another episode of The Real. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Listen, I know y'all are watching and like, yo, this is not live. This is recorded. Yeah, we're not live tonight, but I got a good reason for it. Last Wednesday, I think that was last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Wells, and we actually had our first in-person sit down, and you guys will get to see that in its entirety tonight. And he and I had a good time talking. Talked about everything, the band, talked about the state of the institution, and just a bunch of other things. And he was more than gracious to just kind of sit there and let me, pepper him with questions. And so we had a really good time, and I'm thankful that I had that opportunity to do that with such a cornerstone individual in the Bethune-Cookman community. He's also, again, he's maroon and gold like all the way through. He graduated from Bethune-Cookman and came back and has been working with the school ever since. So talking with people like that, I think, is very important. And so yeah, that's gonna be good. That's coming up. I know y'all ready to see that, but if you just give me a couple of minutes, I need to run through a few things with you. Because we're not live, I still want to make sure the format of our show is still the same. So let me get through a couple of things. And as usual, we're jumping in with our real MVPs. This week, Adrian, Wand, that's Mama Todd, Jason, and Theron. These people, for those who don't know, who may be watching the show for the first time, are contributors to the show, and you can see our Cash App down there below. If you feel compelled to do so, donations and contributions, financially speaking, are always greatly appreciated. It takes us a little bit of overhead to run this show, so that's what your contributions go to, and we are trying to scale and grow, and so it all goes back into helping us nurture this thing called the AV and our show, The Real. So thank you all for the ones that continue to support us. Some of you are like weekly contributors, and that's just amazing to me that you guys, people, are think that highly of what we're doing to continue to show your support, not just watching, but through financially giving. So thank you for that. Always, if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And especially during the interview with Mr. Wells, please comment and share it and let people know that this thing is up here, so we can get as many eyes on it as possible. And it is critical that people hear what he has to say, because again, he has some thoughts that I think are important. What else we got? Oh, speaking of band, they got the spring concert coming up on Sunday. I remember, when I was in the band, and the spring concert is a big deal, and the kids work extremely hard to put on a really good performance, and they're practicing like 2-a-days now. Them and the chorale, and they both are. I saw a video of the chorale on Facebook. Man, they sound amazing. And the band, of course, with Mr. Wells, like, they always sound really good every year. So if you are in the area, Daytona, Orlando, Jacksonville, Ormond, Port Orange, all the areas, shoot over to the school on Sunday and give those kids your support, because they're really practicing hard. And I think you guys would really enjoy just listening to some great music all around. And so, yeah. On to kind of one of the biggest updates before we jump into the interview with Mr. Wells, the presidential search update. And that's going, from what I hear, and y'all know I keep my ears to the ground, it's going really good. Got to give it a thumbs up on how they have been handling some things. I gave my thoughts on the rollout of the listening sessions. I thought they kind of botched that a little bit. There was a lot of confusion on the days and the virtual nature of it, and it could have been a little bit better rolled out. That is where our communications team and the people who are over that just have to do a better job of being a little bit more intentional on what we're doing there, so that people can attend and they know what's what, and the information is clear, and there's not any room to mix things up. This is important. We're getting ready to hire a president, and so everything we do between now and then is critical. But that's probably my biggest critique. They've been more than transparent compared to the the past version of our board, and they're doing a whole lot around keeping us in the loop with what's happening. And that's really all we ask. Just tell us what's going on as alumni. And so that's what they're doing. So much respect to Pete Gamble, Jeff Branch, and then John Crossman, who is the chairman of the search committee. And they have done a great job thus far out of the gate. And again, kudos to those individuals. So yeah, so let's go ahead. I really hope you guys enjoy getting to know Mr. Wells a little bit more and talking with him. Again, comment and share and like it, and make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel and alerts and all that stuff. I think it's important, especially if you go to Bethune, went to Bethune, or going. Maybe you're incoming. It's important that you guys are in the know with what's going on, and that you hear from very important people. And there are fewer people who are more important on campus than Doctor. He's a doctor, y'all. Dr. Donovan Wells. And so I know him as Mr. Wells. You'll see he and I go back. We have a little chat about that as well at the beginning. But Dr. Wells is a very important person on the campus, and I'm excited for you all to hear from him. And without further ado, our interview, my sit down with Mr. Dr. Donovan Wells, the Director of Bands, Bethune-Cookman University. Hope you all like it.
What's up, y'all? Steve Holmes with the AV. I'm on campus today, as you can see, and I've got the opportunity, the pleasure to speak with a very important person on the campus. The band director, the mayor of Bethune-Cookman University, Mr. Donovan Wells. Do people call you doctor now, or is it still Mr. Wells?
I answer to both.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm calling right. I know he's Mr. Wells.
Yeah, and then look, there's no problem there, man. No problem there.
All right, cool. We got Dr. Wells in today, so I'm happy to be here. And we had kind of talked about it last week. We saw each other at the meet and SWAC tournament, and we had set it up. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of people who I think want to hear from you.
Okay,
they want to hear your perspective on things. They want to hear your perspective about the band, about band culture. So I'm like, I think it's a good time to do it. Yeah. And so I appreciate you for giving me your time. And I know y'all in the thick of it right now, getting ready for
the spring concert. But I do have a perspective, and I don't have no problem giving it.
Cool. Yeah. So let's just go back, because everybody knows you. The band director, but I always wonder. I came in 2001.
Right.
What was the program like when you got here, and what year was that? That was
when I returned on staff.
Yes.
That was in 1996.
96.
Okay, I was a 1984 graduate, and I came back in 1996. In 1996, we had some good players in the band. The band was just small. I think we had 88 instruments. It was just small. We had some good players in the band. And, the very next year, I was named director of the bands. And it really took, I kind of took the bull by the horns, if you will, because I just wanted to have the best band that I could have for the institution. Yeah. Because, everything is connected. One hand washes the other. The better the band looks, the better the institution looks. The better the institution looks, the better the band looks. Yep. So I just wanted to make the best band that I could. And then I wanted to make my classmates and the people I knew that I went to school with proud. Yeah. So that's when I actually took over the band in 1997.
Looking back, did you think you'd be here 30 years later, or nearly 30 years later?
Hard to say. Hard to say because I almost left after the first year. To go back home.
Why was that?
Well, when I got here, there was an expectation I had of the band. Mm-hmm. And then when I got here and saw the band I left, the high school band was much bigger and a little further along than what we had here.
Yeah.
And so, but as the year went on, I kind of found my purpose here, found my stride. And I felt like I was making a difference. And then when they came and asked me to take over the band program, I was just thinking in my mind, if I could get this done, and if I could develop this, if I could get this kind of personnel and get this kind of exposure, so a whole lot of things run through your mind.
Yeah, because I guess it's a far cry from wanting to quit to what actually happened after you stayed.
Oh yeah.
And I always think it's amazing. What's the one performance you look at and like, man, like that's the one I will take with me, when I'm gone. I know it's a bunch of them.
It's a bunch of them, man.
But give me. All right,
I'll give you a couple of them, though, real quick ones. The halftime at the Pro Bowl. The halftime at the Pro Bowl, NFL called us because the previous year we did the pregame for the Super Bowl in Tampa. The next year they called us and they gave us the entire halftime for the Pro Bowl in Miami because the Super Bowl was in Miami, and that was to be in front of that crowd and to hear their response. That was a exceptional one. I would say another one is we were in Houston and we performed with Leandra Johnson.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
That was really nice. Another performance is when we filmed Drumline.
That was all the year. Yeah.
You remember all the bands were doing all these takes and had to stop and do this part over and that over and everything. And when it came time for us to do our thing, man, we blew the whistle and did it one time. One time. And they kept looking at it and everything. The guy said, man, we don't need to bother with it. Leave it alone. And said it was good. And I was proud of that. We were that ready. You know, I was proud of that.
Yeah. So here's a kind of a tough one. So I know you've been here for 30 years. I know every year is like a new baby in your family.
Oh yeah.
Which is your favorite child?
Well, look, every edition of the band, I've learned something from them.
Okay.
So all of them are great to me. I've learned something from every group of freshmen that came in. Yeah. And by the time they become seniors, even if I've learned how to manage people better through them, how to deal with crisis through them, because some of them have crisis in their family. They have death and sickness and, just like anybody else. Deal with students with motivating them. Some of them have low self-esteem. Some of them may have a bout with depression or anxiety. So, I can't say one is better than the other one.
Yeah.
Over the years, each year the band is different because you lose your best players, you lose your experience, and you're getting new players that are good players, but they're totally new to what they're about to do.
Yep.
So every year is different, but I can't say any one is better than the other one.
Yeah, I totally thought you was gonna say class of 01, but that's cool. I know.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted to say 01, but I get it. No.
Right. Yeah.
So a big question that I get a lot now, especially now we've been doing the show, and this came up when we were talking with Reggie Thieves.
Okay.
AD. And so people are asking about the band traveling and the lack of travel.
Right.
And so can you talk to that? And obviously it's budgetary, but could you expound on what goes into that, how those decisions are made, like how you choose where to go, and what's the right game to go to?
Okay. One thing I will say that being in the SWAC, we're in a unique position that no other school in the SWAC is in.
Right.
The SWAC is kind of like in the middle part of between Texas and the Atlantic Ocean. They're kind of in the mid section of that. we are all the way over on the Atlantic Ocean. And the closest school that we are to is in Montgomery, Alabama. And that's 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's the closest. Everything else is much more than that. When you start talking about Prairie View, Pine Bluff, you're looking at 20 to 24 hours on a bus. You know, so there's a huge cost to that.
Yeah.
To kind of give people a perspective of things. This past year, I got to give the college credit. They paid for us to go to a game at Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
The Hurricane,
per usual.
The Hurricane canceled that for us because we evacuated. So the Hurricane canceled that for us. To go there and spend one night and come back, that was a little bit shy of $100,000.
Wow. I was going to guess, and I was way off.
It was $88,000.
Wow.
And so, you know, you're talking about buses. It's 6 buses. And fuel goes up, so you have a fuel surcharge. Hotels. When you in the band, we could get rooms at great hotels, major brand hotels. You in the band, we stay in nice places.
Yeah.
For $99 a night. Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
And you're looking at somewhere close to $11,000 per day to feed the band.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, so when you have to look at it from a financial standpoint, you know, and to kind of bring it home, no one has came to Daytona either. You know,
that's a fair point.
You know, because the same cost we would endure here to go to, say, Alcorn, they would have the same cost of coming here.
Yeah. Do you ever? Is there ever a time where you get on the phone with a band director and y'all set up, say, a home and home where we'll come this year, if y'all come next year, or is that just really not fair because the school is going to ultimately have to decide if y'all are traveling or not?
Well, the band directors, we talk, but when you start talking about setting up who's coming where, then it's a financial decision. And all athletic games are under NCAA rule and NCAA contract. Band is not under NCAA rule. Mm-hmm. So we have to be worked into a contract, you know. And so, and if you're going to do, just say, for instance, if Alabama State is going to come here and we're going to go to Alabama State, that just can't be agreed upon with directors. It has to be agreed upon with presidents and athletic directors. And so that money is guaranteed to be budgeted, you know. So it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So are those decisions that are being made now, or is that like during the summer or right at the start of the school year, as far as travel is concerned? Like
last year, we really got into a deep conversation about traveling over the summer. Usually that starts right after graduation, as we're ending our physical year, as we're approaching the next physical year. And with a band of our size, even though our size is not what it used to be, it's still a good size band. You know, we have to do a lot of research ahead of time.
Right.
You know, finding a hotel room where you can get 88 rooms. You know, we don't need 9 rooms. We need 88 rooms.
I'm sorry. I don't know if you remember this, but we went to Miami for like one of those parades down there.
Perrine, I believe.
And I know a lot of people who watch me will remember this story because we still talk about it to this day. We pulled up at the hotel. It was the Orange Bowl parade.
Okay.
And we went down there and we had to split up at 2 hotels.
Right.
But one of the hotels was a little bit more run down than the other.
Yeah, right.
And it was myself, Javard Swan again,
a
couple other guys, and we was going to our room. We opened up our room door, and it was a storage closet. It was nothing but beds.
I remember y'all came to get me.
Y'all
came to get me, and but as with any job, you know, you learn as you get experience as you go.
Yeah.
What I found out then is never let anybody do your arrangements for you.
Mm.
You know, and you know, we had people saying, well, we're going to take care of the hotels, we're going to take care of this, we're going to take care of that. Everything now has to be approved by me. It's a certain way I want my students to sleep.
Yeah.
It's a certain way I want them to ride. And I want to make sure that they're fed well and they're taken care of. And then there's a safety factor.
Right.
To me, a safe trip is that we leave with everybody, we return with everybody that we left with, and everybody's in the same condition that they left here.
Yeah, I think one of the beautiful things that, especially being young and in a band, and you come from high school, which is not even, like, you can't even really compare them because of traveling and stuff.
Right.
But one of the things I always thought was so great when I was here was, like, how we stayed. Obviously the food is one of those things where you got to kind of give and take. It's either chicken boxes or Chick-fil-A, whatever. But I remember one year we were up in Atlanta. I think we had played Morris Brown or something, and we stayed at the Westin.
Right.
Yeah. And you got guys walking around in the bathrobes and in the hotel and stuff. But it was just, I remember thinking, like, this is great. Like, I wonder if other, programs are like living like we live, because I just felt like we was like living like some rock stars. But I'm like, it's 300 kids. Yeah. And you're able to give them or give us a really good experience traveling on the road. So that's cool.
Well, that's the whole goal of it, because I've had kids in the band. The first time they left Florida was with our band program. I've had kids in the band. The first time they've been on a plane was with our band program.
Me.
Some of the kids' first time really staying in a hotel was with the band program. So, and I'm not saying that with a badge of honor, but you just don't know the experiences that some of these kids have or have not had. And I'm glad that the college has allowed us to provide those.
Yeah, and even going back to a point that you made a few moments ago about the different circumstances that kids come from. I think as a student, you don't pay attention to stuff like that because you're kind of just living life through your own eyes, and you don't realize that there are other kids that just don't have the same experiences as you, or they don't come from the same background. And so I think band is kind of one of those things, because there's so many of us, you're able to like affect a lot of kids like very quickly, and kind of in like one shot. And I think I say that because I think people might take the band, I don't want to say for granted, but I just don't think they understand like what the kids get from it when they leave.
Well, one thing I tell people this all the time, the kids have had some great experiences, but there are some things that I've done in my life, people I've met, places I've been, that if I was not attached to this band, I would have never done that. Yeah. We were talking about it earlier. We were on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Yeah. We've been a part of a movie, commercials, meeting celebrities, shaking Obama's hand. These are the opportunities that I've had. Yeah. Being at the Super Bowl, standing beside Mike Tomlin, shaking quarterback used to be for the Colts.
Peyton
Manning's hand. And Drew Brees. Just before we do the halftime, they had their stage set up for them, because they interviewed them while we were in the background while they were doing the halftime show. I mean, you just can't replace all of that, man.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to replace all of that. And I wish I could say that that was all in the plan, but it wasn't. As the band became better, as the kids, and the band became better because we got better kids. We got talented kids and kids that were committed. And what they turned the band into, it became a product that people wanted. Yeah. And so our phone started ringing.
Yeah, I remember kind of when it turned around, and I remember, I don't remember you coming in 96, but I just remember the band in 96, 97. And obviously I was down the street at Jones. Right. And I remember seeing the band from like 96 to say 99. And then like around 99, 2000 was when it just seemed like it was like meteoric rise. And I'm like, who is this band? First time I seen the band was 98 at homecoming. I think I was playing like South Carolina State. And that was the first time I had seen y'all. And I was just like, who are these guys?
Right,
Like,
right.
What is this?
Yeah,
I had never seen it a band look like that, and then I just think the more I saw y'all were growing.
Yeah,
like it was just this kind of weird thing that was happening. Like I was being introduced while y'all were getting better.
Yeah,
and growing. And so when I came in 2001, it was just like it was off to the races at that point.
Oh yeah, man. And well, I started this journey with two guys, man, that are still with me now, and that's Portier and Order.
Yeah.
James Portier and Pedro Order, man. And they've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm glad that they had a chance to experience the growth of the band.
Yeah.
Because the talents that they have, it never had a chance to really be showcased until the band got better. Mm. Then people could see just how great they were. Yeah. They're really something special, man.
Yeah, it's a sound that, there are a bunch of programs that sound like there's nobody that sounds like like nobody.
Right.
And that's kind of what you want because I'm not gonna call no names, but it's a bunch of bands out there. They sound like they sound. They all kind of mimic each other. But one thing that nobody can say is that this program sounds like anything else that's out there. Which testament to the team here. The hard work that you guys do. What's an accomplishment that you haven't or that you would like to achieve, or something that you haven't done yet with the program that you would like to, or just something that I hadn't done that yet? Like, what's that?
I would like, because I've been here for this 29-year journey. Mm-hmm. And whenever I retire, I'm not saying that I have retirement in my future right now, but I hope to retire one day. Mm-hmm. And whenever I retire, I would love for the band to continue and for that next generation of hopefully my student to take over the band, to take it to a level that I didn't take it to. And what I would like to accomplish is to make sure that somehow we found sponsorship or funding to endow the band, so that the band could continue on. The band is funded, and it wouldn't be a burden on the school. We wouldn't have to depend on, what enrollment is this year, whether we travel. Well, we can't get new this because enrollment is down. Well, we can't get new this because we had to replace air conditioning on half of the campus. So to have an endowed budget where we could have $4 to $5 million every year as a budget. Yeah. That's not coming from the college. That could continue on, and that would ensure that we could get quality students like we have now. Mm-hmm. We could keep a quality staff, I might be in the ground, dead and gone, but the band program is still going. Yeah, and that's what I hope will happen because that's what Dr. Bethune did here. She set it up so that it could go on. Yep, and it has. It has. So it would be selfish of me to say, well, I just wanted the good while I'm here, and when I leave it, whatever happens to it ain't none of my business. Yeah. That I don't have that attitude because I love what we built here, and I love the journey that we've been on, and the journey has had some hills and valleys, peaks and valleys, but the journey is that's what I'll always remember.
Speaking of the journey and peaks and valleys, it's not a secret that the school appears to be emerging from a valley. Mm-hmm. Over the last, let's call it 8 to 10 years, what are your thoughts about some of the things that have happened with the university with respect to leadership instability, finances, and I know obviously that has had a tremendous effect on the program. Right. Can you talk to what that experience has been like trying to navigate through the troubling waters?
Yeah. The last 10 years, when I talk about the journey, I would say that's been the most challenging part of the journey since I've been here. To see your budget cut 4 years, 5 years in a row.
4 years in a row, 5 years in a row?
Yeah, and still try to maintain a program. Yeah. to see a college go through some hard times, and some you can't help.
Right.
Some were self-inflicted, and to see a college go through hard times, and only thing I could do is when our time came, no matter what people had the impression of the college or what was going on, I wanted that band to be that steady rock that represented the institution, no matter how high things were, no matter how low things were.
Yeah.
And I would express that to the kids. I said, we have to go out there and dispel whatever image that the public may have of Bethune-Cookman right now, because we've gone through some experiences. Yeah. And like I said, some of the experiences were self-inflicted. Some of the experiences you couldn't help. We've been through some. Unfortunately, in the last 10 years, we've had more hurricanes that we've been through than I've been through in my entire 29 years, and these were pretty severe. Yeah. Pretty severe, and the college would close for sometimes a good couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Which is a long period of time.
Yeah, and it always happens like in football season.
Yeah. It's always in football season, and so it took a toll, and that's something the college couldn't help. Yeah. And you just try to get back on solid footing the best that you can, and have a safe environment for your kids. Yeah. Because when a college campus in Florida loses power for 2 weeks. Yeah. You're going to get mold, and that's something that we just couldn't help. And then to try to get rooms and dormitories safe for kids to come back without having to cancel the semester.
Right.
And see, so these are kind of some of the things that I saw the college go through, and I was proud of the fact that they could navigate through those things. Yeah. Then there were times where I would see things happen with the institution. With leadership, and I've been, I'm not. Everybody knows my position on as an alumnus. I've been disappointed the way the college has been treating the alumni, and they're the times that I've been kind of embarrassed. So, I've had some times where I was extremely proud of the college. I could see we got sucker punched with a hurricane. And everybody rolled their sleeves up and got us back on track. Yeah. And then I've seen us, just over petty stuff, get out into the public eye with stuff that an institution of higher learning shouldn't even be involved in. And it's embarrassing because in my position, I don't care where I go, people are asking me about Bethune-Cookman because, one, I'm the director of bands, and we're probably, if not one of, we're the most visible entity of the college. So people know me, and they will ask me, about anything, and it can be embarrassing at times. I've had to answer some questions, and a lot of times I would say, well, I don't really know for sure. And I probably do. And I don't really know for sure, but it's something that I think it'll work over in time and things of that nature. And I said, but, give it some time. It just happened or whatever the case may be. But I've been asked some embarrassing questions that I wish I wouldn't have to answer. So
I think that's probably what's been frustrating is that, especially, you mentioned just kind of the way that the alumni have been treated. Not only do we feel like we've kind of been slighted over the last, decade or so, but then we got to go out there and answer the questions because we went to the school, right? And of no fault of our own, we got to go out there and try to explain away the problems or try to talk it down or water it down. And I think that's been the toughest thing is just watching the problem that you didn't cause and then having somebody ask you about it and having you try to explain it. It's
Bethune-Cookman is a family.
Right.
And it's just like if I had a sibling that went out, got busted for drugs. And when people come and ask me, I'm gonna be embarrassed because that's my brother or that's my sister.
Yeah.
But that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality of it. And what we have to remember here at Bethune-Cookman is that, when we have those moments, we have to remember that we are a family. Family had disagreements, arguments. Sometimes family members don't speak for a while.
Right.
That can happen here. And then sometimes we can find a common ground and we're back on track. And that can happen here too. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing that you find in a family, that even when we have disagreements, a lot of times we have disagreements and we get on opposite sides of the track, and we get so angry with each other because we're both concerned.
Yep.
We're both concerned. It's hard to get angry and upset with someone that they don't matter to you.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Bethune-Cookman, no matter which side you're on, I think everybody's concerned. And some concerns lie in different areas, mm-hmm. but I think there's a concern and love everybody has for the institution. But I was in the presidential search meeting the other day, and one thing I mentioned was that we have to be honest about where we are. You've heard me say that in band.
Yep.
We got to be honest about where we are, the good things that we do good, the things that we do great, things that we need improvement on, and things that are awful.
Yep.
We have to own all of it,
mm-hmm.
and see if we can make our awful things good, make our good things great. And it's a day-to-day process, and Rome wasn't built in a day, but that kind of attitude has to be a daily thought, but it has to be from everybody,
yep.
So it has to be a daily thought.
Speaking of presidential search,
mm-hmm.
Obviously we know we're in the process of getting somebody hopefully over there in Whitehall.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see, in the next leader of the institution? What are some of the things you'll be looking for
mm-hmm.
From the next president?
The next president going to have thick skin, real thick skin, real thick skin. Then the next president is going to have the will of a lion, because he's coming into he or she is coming into a situation where it's a lot of heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to complain about the heavy lifting, I wish those people will not apply. We know where we are. We know what has to be done. We need someone to come in that willing to, I'm a country boy, so some of my analogies come from the country. The willing to get off the ditch bank, get down in the bottom of the ditch in the mud with everybody else, and see if we can get everybody else out of the ditch and back up on the ditch bank.
Yep.
And if a president is coming in here to dictate and to point fingers why we're here, we don't need that. We already know that.
Yeah.
So we need a president with thick skin, with the will of a lion, but with a vision that lines up with the legacy of our founder. Because I've always felt like Bethune-Cookman was a school that could take a student that may not could get an opportunity anywhere else.
Right.
Just as intelligent as those students that went to other major universities.
Yep.
Maybe didn't come up in the best of situations, but they could take that student where they are, mold them, whether it's through encouragement, prayer, tough love, discipline. Mm-hmm. And by the time that they graduate, they're a graduate that can compete with a graduate from any institution anywhere.
That's true.
Because that's what Bethune-Cookman did with me.
Yep.
I had a reading deficiency. I had it all through school before I got here. Mm-hmm. When I got here, back then we took what we call placement tests, and my reading test was low. And I had to take a class, a non-credit class, but I had to pass called Reading in the Content. Because from the test, that if I don't have a chance to read something twice, I may not retain all the information. Yep. So the content, I may not retain. And in that class, I got a lot of help for that. And even now, I have to read things twice sometimes. You know, I have to, but to navigate that, Bethune-Cookman would have been the only place that accepted that, mm-hmm. helped me with it, and helped me navigate through it. Yeah. And I got my degree. Then when I went to get my master's, I used the same techniques that I used in my undergraduate to navigate the degree. Yeah. And doing the same thing now. And I still struggle with it at times, you know, but what if just because my reading test was low, mm-hmm. like some institutions, well, we can't accept you. Yep. You know, yep. And the career that I've had, I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for a school like Bethune-Cookman. Yeah. So you know, that's to me, that's the purpose of Bethune-Cookman.
They have definitely taken a lot of diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
You know, kids.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we got to remember that they are diamonds now. You know, sometimes we want to, and I won't call any names, I've heard some people on campus talk about how bad the kids are, It's a different kid now. Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, it's a different kid now. But they have the same, they're not too much different than I was when I was a kid. They have the internet now. I didn't have the internet, you know. But the wants in his eyes of a kid that's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old hasn't changed that much from when you was in school or when I was in school. And we have to understand that. And we also have to understand that now that we are professionals, been in our career 30 years, and we're in our 50s, we're in our 60s, we can't expect for the kids to be where we are right now. You gotta meet them where they are and develop them, you know. And so sometimes when I hear people complain about the kids, it puzzles me, because if the kids were perfect, they wouldn't need to come here. That's true. And they wouldn't need the faculty, you know. So you know, that's, you know, it's kind of ironic to hear that sometimes.
Yeah, part of college is mm-hmm. getting new life experience that you take with you, and not coming here because you know everything, right? You know. So on a lighter note, mm-hmm. who is Mr. Wells outside of the band?
Hey man, Mr. Wells outside of the band. I'm a country boy from Smithfield, Virginia, and I like simple stuff. You know, one of my things I like to do is work in my yard, because a plant only asks for water and sunlight. That's true. You know, they don't ask to borrow no money. They don't ask for a scholarship. They don't ask for nothing but water and sunlight. A little fertilizer here and there. Yeah. I like to do stuff around my house, little home improvement things. One of my pastimes that I really relax when I do is fishing. Yeah. I like fishing, do a lot of fishing. I like fishing, man, and I like watching sports, and I like watching westerns. You know, like my best westerns is Big Valley and the Wild Wild West. They my two favorites.
Yeah, my pop was big on them country westerns and black and whites. Boy, he had them things on when I walk in. I'm like, all right, let me get up out of here.
I love watching the westerns, man.
Yeah. All right, last question.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say what does it look like, but you mentioned retirement. You're not ready to retire, but when do you feel like, what would be the point where you say, okay, I'm ready to pass the baton to somebody else? Like what circumstances have to take place for you to say, you know, NBA players, they're like, you know, I'm tired of going in the gym and running plays. That's when I know it's over. How was that for you?
I'm gonna tell you, when my dad worked for the government, He worked for Norfolk Naval Shipbuilding. He was a nuclear welder. And the government was downsizing. He went to work one Monday, and they said, "Hey, Wells, they want your human resources." Went in there, they threw everything on the table. "Look, we're going to offer you an early out. Full pension, even though you don't have the years. We're going to give you credit for your military years. You still don't have the years. And we're going to give you these other 2 years so that you can get full retirement, full health care, and a lump sum of $50,000. My dad was excited. I said, "Man, that's what you work for, to retire and everything." So that Tuesday, he came to work, filled out paperwork. Wednesday, he came to work, telling everybody about everything. And Wednesday evening, they let him know that, Thursday was his last day. It happened that fast. Then he retired, and he went through a slight depression.
Yeah.
Because his guys he had worked with for 30 years. He remembered when none of them had children, and all of a sudden, all of them had children. He remembered some of the guys weren't even married. And all of a sudden, he said, "Man, I'm at home, and I don't know what to do." He said, "I worked all my life, and I had nothing to do."
Yeah.
Then, for the first time, I never even remember my dad having a cold. Then, for the first time, he got sick. He had a stroke. And that was about 6 months after he retired. Then a couple of months after that, he had to have heart surgery. And me and him, we had a boat together, and we would go fishing a lot when I would come home in the summer, just talking about retirement. And he told me, he said, "Son, only retire when you're ready." And he said, "And you will know." He said, "Nobody will have to tell you. No. You'll know." And he said, "I retired when I wasn't ready." He said, "Only retire when you're ready. You'll know." I told my wife that I'm 62. I'll be 63 this year in June. And when I turn 65, I'm going to take it year by year. At any point in time where I feel like, for me, I want to, if I ever get the feeling that I can't give the kids my best, I can't give the program my best, I can't give the college my best, it's time to retire. My goal is to stay here, and hopefully the band can be an intricate part of getting the college back healthy again. I would love to retire and the college is back flourishing again. Yeah. That's my goal, that the college flourish again. Yeah. Before I retire.
I think that's possible, especially with, seems like there's a bit of a pulse with the institution. Still a lot that we got to work through, but feels like a little bit more of a.
It's some momentum is happening.
Yeah,
and that's good, because I can tell you from a faculty person, I've watched the album Raul drop. And it dropped to a point where there's no more morale. We're numb. We don't have any feelings, because you can't be ignored for so long and mistreated for so long and told one thing and found out it was something else for so long, and go 10 years without a raise, without just becoming numb. So, and I have to admit, I've been numb for a while. Yeah. But I will say that over the last, especially this semester, not putting the band aside, the institution, it seems like there's a light. It might be dim now, but you see some light.
There's something.
You see some light. It might be dim now, but I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to grow.
I think you're right.
But I would agree with you there. There's some momentum going on.
Yeah.
And we can get back there, because what I know, you know too. This is a unique place, man.
It is.
This is a special place, man. Yep. And for what we've been through in the last 10 years, tell me what HBCU could have survived it.
That's the thing right there.
Yeah. 7 presidents in 10 years. What HBCU could have survived it? And every president took the college in a different direction.
Yep.
And my last thing I want to throw in here before we end, as we talked about presidents, I said this in the meeting, and I would like to just have an opportunity to say this here. We've been through 7 presidents. 6 were not a part of the Bethune-Cookman family. And we've seen the results of that. I'm not going to go into any details. The best years of Bethune-Cookman, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, was when we had an alumnus president. Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, Richard V. Moore, Oswald P. Bronson. And me and Dr. Bronson married me and my wife in his office, right over there.
Really?
He married us in his office.
That's good. That's good to know.
And so the college is special to me. And you had those people in the leadership position that would go that extra mile. They had that extra level of concern. They had that extra love. And when the situation looked like dire straits, it's their school. I got to find a solution. And you look at the growth that we've had. That's why I said now is the time for us to consider looking at a qualified candidate from Bethune-Cookman, a qualified Wildcat. And I want to preface that with qualified candidate. And we have some. Yeah. You know, there's been forces that lead us to believe that our alumni are disgruntled, like to keep confusion, mess going on. Yeah. Our alumni love the school.
That's it.
And they want clear accountability and transparency, because if the school is in trouble and you show them and you're transparent about it, saying, you know, we're falling short here and there, our alumni will step up. But you can't not include them in the process. But then at the end of the process, you got your hand out to them. That's not going to work either. So, like I said, Bethune-Cookman is a special place. I think we are primed, and for an alumnus as a president, I think that we need to ask the question: what we have to lose? Look at what we've lost over the last 7. Yep. What do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? And a lot of the decisions for the next president, there won't be many alumni making that decision. You know, so I just want to throw that out there, that we really, really need to consider that, because whomever is chosen, like I said, gonna have to have real thick skin. Yep. You know, the will of a lion. Going to have a vision that Dr. Bethune has. And they're going to have the willingness to not accept failure. Yeah. And I think an alumnus could have those things. Am I 100% sure? No, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm 100% sure that it should be a viable option for us. It really should.
There's an alumni out there that can do the job.
Yeah.
Mr. Wells, I appreciate you. This has been
my pleasure,
this has
man.
Been great.
My pleasure, man. Always proud of my students such as yourself, man. Yeah. And when I see what y'all are doing out in your careers and your families, and when you told me your daughter was at Pebblebrook, I mean, I almost fell on the floor, man. Yeah. I said, man, I must be getting real old.
Yes.
I must be getting real old.
Yeah.
Yes,
But that's junior, getting ready to get up out of there next year. And,
man. Yeah, she'll be graduating next year. Oh man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And but like I'm just extremely proud of all of you all, man. There are a whole lot of success stories, right with the graduates from the band, man.
Yeah.
And y'all are to be extremely proud of what you all have done in the band and what you all have done after you got out of the band and went on in life. And not only just on jobs, you know, in your churches, communities, and parents, mothers and fathers. I mean, y'all have done some great things, man. Great things.
Cool, man. Well, thank you all for joining us on this great interview. I'm just elated that I'm able to sit down and have this time with my former band director, Dr. Wells. If everyone has liked this discussion, go ahead, leave comments, share this, and don't forget to subscribe to the Av. And I'll see you guys next time. All right. Peace.